Bully Whipped is an art project that I designed to open communication in this community about the subject of bullying. Have begun gathering a group of students in elementary, middle, and high school who have been bullied or who have been bullies, and we're trying to create some really honest dialogue. And in the process, I'm doing photographs that will be a triptych. And the first will explore how they think the world sees them, that causes them to be victim of bullying, or that causes them to be so angry that they need to lash out at someone else. The second one will be what they think they should look like or should be in order to change the way the world treats them. And finally, will be just a very honest portrait of who they are, honest from my perspective. Although I have to say I'm getting to know them better than I would have expected.
The Bully Whip project is an opportunity that I think is really exciting for us to add some information that can be used by scientists who do study bullying and maybe aren't used to getting data in the way that Jacqueline's project is going to throw it at them, and that is in conversations from real and how it affected their families.
The idea came from Dan Savage's project, the It Gets Better project. I thought it was really wonderful, and I wanted to do an It Gets Better video project for Winston-Salem. And as that sort of started to unfold, I spoke to a couple of ministers, I spoke to a member of the city council, I spoke to a member of the school board, and we all sat down together and talked about what we as a community could do, how we could address the issue, how we could talk about it. And everybody was extremely supportive, and I did a little reading, and one particular statistic stuck out in my mind because it was about how at risk bullies are. I realized that nobody's talking about the bullies, that they're also at risk, and if we really want to protect children from bullying, maybe what we want to do is help the bullies to stop bullying. So I decided to look at both sides of the story, which I then discussed with Carol Dykers, who suggested that I needed to broaden my scope and do some real research.
Okay, so I'm Carol Dykers, and I teach communication at a small liberal arts college for women. I wanted to take the incredible revolution that I've been seeing in social media and technology and go out and do some research in the real world. And we actually tried an experiment this fall in one new class, and it was chaos, but it was really fun chaos. And Jacqueline Causey was there, and I felt some hope. I thought, maybe we can do this. Then she mentioned her Bully Whip project, and it was photography. And so, of course, I went into my professor mode and said, well, you have to do some research before you can go take those photographs. And she did, and produced incredible piles of data about bullying. But as we talked about it, it seemed that it couldn't be right, because she was also beginning to talk with people, and I mentioned the project to people, and every person I mentioned it to had a bullying story. And the statistics about bullying at the state, the local, state, and national level just can't be right. The ethnographer in me says there's something wrong.
And from there, the project sort of grew in an exponential, out of my hands kind of way, and it quickly became something I couldn't do
I mean,
alone.
the Bully Whip project, you know, has begun to grow so quickly, and it has so many voices, and, you know, in agency talk we'd have described it as a project with a lot of legs, but it's something that everybody we talk to is interested in, and it seems to be opening more doors and leading to more projects. So that in turn has led to the formation of a coalition of friends and interested people who want to be involved and to develop other projects. You know, honestly, I became intrigued with this project when Jackie came to me and started describing it, about what she was finding about bullying and how pervasive and extensive the problem is in our community. And, you know, there isn't a person on this planet who hasn't had some exposure to the subject of bullying. I had friends who were bullied, and as a kid, I didn't know what to do with it or how to deal with it. And, you know, you don't forget those things because they're seared into your consciousness. They stay. You know, I saw, okay, there's a need for better tools to frame our conversation and help parents and help teachers and help, of course, the children. I can. That's a fluff. You're gonna have to edit that out.
We can do that.
You can do that. The magic of editing. But I think that anyone who is compassionate and who cares about children and the health and happiness of neighborhoods and communities has to care about this subject. And it's not something that people are comfortable talking about, but we have to start the conversation somewhere. And if we sit around waiting for somebody else to do it, it isn't going to happen. So it starts here.
I don't know that I have been as surprised by how many people that we've spoken to who have a bullying story as I have been by how healing it has been for them just to have an opportunity to sit down and tell their story to someone who's willing to listen from beginning to end without judgment and without criticism. And that definitely and especially goes for the people that we're talking to who have been bullies. It has become very important to me that this project operates under the absolute authenticity and absolute truth because of the understanding that I have of so many misconceptions that come up when you start talking about kids that bully, and the assumption that they come from broken homes, or that they come from homes of a particular class. I think that having an opportunity to sit down and talk to an entire family where two of the children have been seriously, physically, and psychologically battered by their peers is more poignant than I could have imagined. But more than that, what the mother went through trying to get them help and the stereotypes that she faced, it just really tells me that there's a lot of listening that we're not doing. And that one of the downsides of strictly interpreting raw data and not putting a face with the story is that it's too easy to fall into comfortable stereotypes that keep us from asking questions.
We've been working very, very hard for May of 2011 on this project. Jacqueline began it in January, but none of us had time until May to really get moving on all the ideas. We just did little things. Once we started moving and began having contact with people whose stories we wanted to tell in this dispassionate, journalistic way. We also found that we were emotionally affected by those people's stories. That was very unexpected for me. And I always felt as a journalist that we were observers on the sidelines, and we could take scenes of a brutal car wreck or a terrible war or horrible attacks, and tell stories about them and walk away and then do a talking dog interview the next morning. And I think journalism's attempt to suppress empathy for the people we talk with, at least the old school journalistic ethic of standing back, being the observer, not being empathetic, not caring, causes us to do work that maybe isn't as true and authentic. I tell you what, I'm feeling more authentic because I think it's really hard not to weep about what we're hearing. Shut that camera off.
I think the good thing about this project is that it has opened up dialogue in my family. It's opened up dialogue between the siblings, that the one bully, the one that was bullied, and it has really made them closer. The other siblings that haven't maybe dealt with that made their life feel a bit foreign. So by this project being opened up and the dialogue in our household being opened up has really allowed them not to feel so isolated. So with that being said, I think this has been awesome for them, for me, for them to be able to share with me some feelings they may have about maybe what they felt like I should have done, or answers to questions that they may not have been able to even ask at that time. So it's been a huge open dialogue, and it has really kind of entwined us closer together.